Good evening, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to my evening news report right here on the Riley King Network. We are broadcasting live here in Washington, D.C., in our Washington, D.C. studio. Right behind us is the U.S. Capitol building, as you can see. Take a look. Let's begin tonight's news report. Trump keeps pressure on Pence to reject Biden's win before Congress Wednesday. Those close to Pence says he's not expected to diverge from a scripted role. Vice President Mike Pence will face perhaps his greatest political challenge on Wednesday when he oversees the joint session of Congress at which he'll be required to announce Joe Biden as president-elect, forced to choose between his long-standing loyalty to the Constitution and a president demanding he do something the law doesn't allow. The vice president has the power to reject fraudulent chosen electors, Trump tweeted Tuesday, keeping up with the pressure on Pence, even though the vice president's role as laid out by the Constitution does not give him that power. There are also no fraudulent chosen electors. Each state has certified its results and sent electors to the Electoral College, which confirmed Biden's win last month. Yet it wasn't until just midday Tuesday that Pence and his office openly confirmed that he would even show up Wednesday, despite previously privately indicating he would when his chief of staff, Mark Short, told ABC News that Pence did indeed plan to preside. Trump on Monday had made clear to Pence privately that he expects him to use his role as president of the Senate to deny Biden the presidency during the joint session of Congress, in which both houses will count each state's electoral votes and reaffirm Biden's win, according to a person familiar with their conversation. Trump met with Pence in the Oval Office before flying to Georgia for a campaign rally where he publicly pressured the vice president. I hope Mike Pence comes through for us. I have to tell you, Trump said, I hope that our great vice president comes through for us. He's a great guy. Of course, if he doesn't come through, I won't like him quite as much. The vice president's role, as laid out by the Constitution and the 19th century law, is seminarial through, and Pence has no rule power beyond reading a script, opening envelopes that shows states' electoral votes, and announcing Biden as the winner. Pence has spent a significant amount of time meeting with the Senate, and those close to him says he's unlikely to divert from that script role. Trump puts Pence on the spot with fringe legal theory. The president's Republican allies on Capitol Hill, 13 senators, and more than 100 House members plan to object to certain swing states' votes after Trump has made baseless claims of voting fraud there in what would an effort to be an attempt to overturn the election results, although some claim their real concern is election integrity. The effort is all but certain to fail. Under federal law, a member of the House or Senate can contest the Electoral College result from any state, forcing the House and Senate to separate for up to 2 hours of debate and vote on whether to accept a slate of electorals. A majority of both chambers would have to support the motion to successfully challenge a given slate of electors. The president has been pushing them to do so, even though doing so will only prolong the session rather than change the ultimate result, since the Democrat-controlled House and enough Senate Republicans are expected to join Senate Democrats to reject any objections. In recent days, he has subscribed to a fringe theory prompted by John Eastman, a law professor who had represented Trump in a failed quest to have the Supreme Court intervene in the election, that Pence would in fact be able to make a difference. Eastman was part of Trump's Monday Oval Office discussion with Pence, according to a person familiar with the conversation. Pence is seeking to balance his political future, which he has staked on his loyalty to Trump, on his commitment to the Constitution. How Trump reacts to Pence's handling of the congressional session could define the vice president's political future and any hope of success if he runs for president down the line. Pence has long viewed himself as a conservative who represents the view of the document farmers as well as lawmakers, originally a tent. To prepare, Pence has read and studied legal opinions on the Electoral Count Act and 1887 law that further prescribes Wednesday's session, particularly when objections are raised, in addition to the constituting those inside and outside of his office, according to the Trump administration officials. On Sunday, he met with Senate primarily in his office at the Capitol, the official said. A close friend to Pence, Dave, told ABC News that the vice president would likely be guided by his really deep residing respect for the separation of powers. Pence has also reviled how his predecessors handled the congressional vote count in most recent few instances, including the Vice President Al Gore presiding over his loss in 2001 following a continuous election, and the officials said. The Vice President has walked a fine line in the 2 months since he had and Trump lost re-election, indulging Trump baseless accusations of fraud while staying away from the president's widely conspiracy theories. He has been less than full-throated in his support of Trump's pursuit to overturn the election result, by pushing conspiracy theories about electoral fraud, but his office did put out a statement saying he welcomes the challenge at Wednesday's joint session. Vice President Pence shares the concerns of millions of Americans about the voter fraud and integrities in the last election. His chief of staff, Short, said in a statement on Saturday, the vice president welcomes the efforts of members of the House and Senate to use the authority they have under the law to raise objections and bring forward evidence before Congress and the American people on January 6th. There is no evidence of widespread voter fraud or integrity that would alter the November election's outcome. Still, he has expressed support for Trump's legal fights. The president and his allies have lost 50 cases challenging the results, and on Monday he empathized with Trump supporters during a campaign event in Georgia. We all got our doubts about the last election, Pence said, and I want to assure you I share the concerns of millions of Americans about voting integrities. And that does it for this evening news report. Reporting live here in our Washington, D.C. studio. As you can see, the Capitol building on this lovely Tuesday evening. Thank you for watching this news report. Have a wonderful evening. See you back here with more news coverage tomorrow. Good night and goodbye, everyone.